Alright, so I don't think the hardening worked out as well as I wanted. Hopefully it's harder than it was. I don't know. You'll notice it's off center. That's because this piece is not perfectly round, and it even had a bend to it, I think. I tried to straighten it out as much as I could before I put it in the collet. But only reason I'm messing with this old piece is that it's as old as the lathe, and I just kind of wanted to salvage it. I got the little crossbar here that goes with it, and the most important thing is it fits very well. So I'm happy with it. And the next one I'm going to make, I'll start from scratch and I'll make something that looks more, new and polished. Wish the hardening had worked better. Any tips on that? Well, I'm in the chuck key making mode. I made this one to fit the ROM chuck that's on my lathe, which is probably my nicest chuck. It's on my 12-inch, I should say. And works really well. I was really pleased with it. Hardened the tip and everything. And I can't remember whether I showed this or not, but after I got all done with it, I was looking at it and I said, wait a second, is that an optical illusion or is that off? And I don't have my little square here, but anyway, it's off. It's quite a bit off. Like 10 degrees off of square there. I don't know how I did it. I've just got to be careful when I put my collet block in my vise. It does have it has a tendency to want to tip. So you have to, until you get some tension on it, you need to be tightening it. And then, I thought I tapped it afterwards, but I don't know how I did it. Maybe I just didn't have the vise tightened all the way so that when I started drilling, I pushed it. But, it bugs me. So I'll probably make another one, but for right now it's doing the job. I was pleased with the way those. This and my other little one I made, which actually I didn't make. I just reconditioned for the 6-inch one. That was my first attempt at hardening. I didn't think it worked right, but I'm starting to change my opinion. Like maybe it did. And this one definitely did. You can hit it with a file and it doesn't touch it. I think what I was thinking was the file actually filing it was just knocking off the carbon. I think actually this is okay. So anyway, those are the two chuck keys I've made so far, and I now want to make one that'll fit my two original chucks that came with my Atlas. They both need to be cleaned up. This is the 4-jaw. This is one of the things that excited me about having the 12-inch was came with the 4-jaw. And it's in between in size these two. I haven't measured it yet to figure out what it is. This one will actually work on it, but does not appear to be a good fit to me. It's much looser than it is in the chucks that I have for the 6-inch. I'll go grab one. Yeah, so it's visibly a different size. I haven't cleaned this chuck up either, obviously. But that fits nice and snugly in there, sloppy in there. So I'll come up with something. I'll come up with a way to get that size figured out. I think what I did last, I don't have a good set of gauge pins, so I use drill bits. So I got the round diameter and just, that's your square side. So let's try that. Let's see what we come up with. Alright, so this is my my pin gauge set up here to figure out what size chuck I want to make here. A little loose, too tight. Almost wants to go in there. And this is a 5/16 I believe. Wait a second, now it says 293. Wait a second. Let me check. Now this has got to be at like 19/64. What does it say on here? Yep, 19/64. 19/64 is just tight. That's 294 on the actual reading, and the nominal would be 297. So 297 is a little teeny bit too big, and 277's a little too small. Just kind of flops around a little bit more than I would like to see it. So I'll split the difference and do it at 288 or 287. 277 is too small, 297 is too big. No, that's like 293 is too big. Alright, let's see. I'm going to split the difference, but I'm not sure exactly about how much. I'll figure that out before I start cutting anything. What I'm going to use for my materials, I don't know where this came from. I think it was a clutch alignment tool at some point in its life. It's not hardened in the front. I've checked it. This I have no idea. It was some piece of scrap laying around. So hoping I'm going to have myself a chuck key where none existed before, because I don't currently have any chuck key at all that fits these original Atlas chucks that came with my 12-inch. I built this one to go with my ROM, and it works great. So here we go. Alright, I decided to take it to 290. 294 was tight, but not by much, so we'll see. Touching. That's more than touching. Yeah, this is not working out optimally. I messed up my touching on, so what I gotta do now is actually flip it over, and that's gonna interrupt the workflow, but I'll feel better about it, so that's the way I'm gonna do it. That's the bad part about these things. They are front heavy. Okay, so I'm putting my flat side down. Alright, so I'm going to go all the way around, all four sides that way. Alright, so I realized I never finished this video. I found it, the scraps of it, and I was trying to clean off my hard drive because I'm a digital hoarder and I'd managed to fill up a terabyte. So anyway, picking this up from months ago, this is the key that I basically it was chewed up on the end. I don't think it was ever hardened when it was originally made. It's an antique, you know, so it was, you know, about yay long before with the chewed up end, and I cut that off. So that was the first thing I did with my ER40 Collet set, and you know, it's got some character to it, but it works very well for the jaws that go with my 6-inch, which I just put on Craigslist today. Next one was this, which I made to replace what came with my Atlas 10-inch to go with this chuck. This chuck. This is not a ROM. I have a ROM that takes the same size that goes on my dividing head that I'm trying to get working. Anyway, so yeah, this is some creative welding right there. Anyway, so that looks a little better, even though, as I mentioned, I got it out a square there. And I think the reason I never finished the video is I got real frustrated with this project. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure in the end I ended up having out a square the same exact way. So I think there's something in my setup that I really need to figure out. But yeah, this works really well. I actually, honestly, after using this for more than a year, well, 2 years probably, however long since I had the 10-inch, I did kind of miss having the, you know, I mean, there's a certain ergonomics you get used to with whatever the heck it is you got to hand, and I sort of, you know, it's probably not good. It's probably giving you too much leverage. It's probably bad for the chuck to have something made like this. I don't know. You can chime in if you have an opinion on that. But, you know, this certainly looks better. And both of these I hardened. Turns out I did get a good hardening on this. You know, just by heating the tips cherry red and dousing them right away. Okay, so what got so frustrating about this thing? This is a case of being penny wise and pound foolish. I had some scrap things laying around that I thought I knew what they were. I thought this was a clutch alignment tool. I seem to recall something like this from back when I had changed, you know, clutches in my misspent youth. You know, I figured it's just cheap blank piece of throwaway steel that they threw in with the clutch kit, and you know, I am not sure what it was, but it was evil. It fooled me at first because I chucked it up in my lathe. I needed to turn back this radius right here. Yeah, actually, it wasn't 3 steps before. It was just 2 steps. So ignore this part of this drawing here. Yeah. So it was 2 steps, and you know, I needed this smaller diameter in order to be able to get not so much for this chuck, but for my 4-jaw. There's some clearance issues if you don't have a narrower profile there. So anyway, I turned it on the lathe, no problem. And you know, there was a little scruffiness on the front, and I was like, oh, I'll just clean that up real quick. And I ruined my favorite 4-flute end mill. Just trying to clean up that little bit of scruffiness, which will teach me never to use my favorite end mill on mystery metal again. Long story short, after a lot of trial and error, well, okay, then I said, okay, it's got some kind of little piece of grit embedded in there. Let me just get it out, and I stuck it on the bandsaw, and I tried to bandsaw it, you know, just a little bit back from the tip, you know. Next thing I knew, I had a ruined bandsaw blade to go with my ruined 4-flute end mill. So I'm, you know, I guess I'm not that bright. So then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go grind this thing off. I had to get over to the grinder, and I was dressing my grinding wheel with this thing. In fact, I have no idea what this originally was, but I'm led to suspect that maybe it was supposed to go in as a grinding wheel dresser. I think maybe it had diamond bits in it or something, but basically, at some point, because I had the flats already done on it, and I was just trying to clean up the tip, right? So I had the flats already on it, and I was just messing around with it in the chuck, saying, all right, I'll leave that nastiness there. I knew when I tried to harden it that it was the coloration was coming out really funny. Anyway, the first time I tried it in the chuck, the whole front end just came right off, and it was a hollow tube with some sort of death crystals inside, diamond, carborundum, garnet, darn it, I don't know. But, yeah. So, once that was cut away, yeah, the rest of it machined down just fine, and it works great. Cost of one end mill and a bandsaw blade. So, yeah. Penny wise, pound foolish. Be careful with mystery metal. Don't use your favorite cutting tools on it. And that's about that for that project. That set of projects. These were the first things I did with my Collet set.